and good day. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz from eTurboNews, and this is a breaking news update. For more news updates and shows, please go to youtube.com/travel news group. youtube.com/travel news group. Here's our update.
Canada, no more pre-entry COVID-19 tests for vaccinated visitors. Today, the Government of Canada announced that effective April 1, 2022, at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, fully vaccinated travelers will no longer need to provide a pre-entry COVID-19 test result to enter Canada by air, land or water. Fully vaccinated travelers seeking to arrive in Canada before April 1, 2022, must still have a valid pre-entry test. As a reminder, travelers arriving to Canada from any country, who qualify as fully vaccinated, may need to take a COVID-19 molecular test on arrival if selected for mandatory random testing. Travelers selected for mandatory random testing are not required to quarantine while awaiting their test result. For partially or unvaccinated travelers who are currently allowed to travel to Canada, pre-entry testing requirements are not changing. Unless otherwise exempt, all travelers 5 years of age or older who do not qualify as fully vaccinated must continue to provide proof of an accepted type of pre-entry COVID-19 test result. A valid, negative antigen test, administered or observed by an accredited lab or testing provider, taken outside of Canada no more than 1 day before their initially scheduled flight departure time or their arrival at the land border or marine port of entry, or a valid negative molecular test taken no more than 72 hours before their initially scheduled flight departure time or their arrival at the land border or marine port of entry, or a previous positive molecular test taken at least 10 calendar days and no more than 180 calendar days before their initially scheduled flight departure time or their arrival at the land border or marine port of entry. It is important to note that positive antigen test results will not be accepted. All travelers continue to be required to submit their mandatory information in ArriveCan free mobile app or website before their arrival in Canada. Travelers who arrive without completing their ArriveCan submission may have to test on arrival and quarantine for 14 days, regardless of their vaccination status. Travelers taking a cruise or a plane must submit their information in ArriveCan within 72 hours before boarding. Adjustments to Canada's border measures are made possible by a number of factors, including Canada's high vaccination rate, the increasing availability and use of rapid tests to detect infection, decreasing hospitalizations and growing domestic availability of treatments for COVID-19. As vaccination levels and healthcare system capacity improve, we will continue to consider further easing of measures at the borders, and when to adjust those measures, to keep the people in Canada safe. The Honourable Jean-Yves Duclos, Minister of Health. Decreasing COVID-19 case counts, coupled with Canada's high vaccination rates and strict vaccination requirements for travel, have set the stage for the next steps in our government's cautious and calibrated approach to safely easing the measures at our border. Lifting the pre-entry testing requirements for travelers to Canada will make it easier for Canadians to safely take advantage of emerging opportunities for personal and business travel, as Canada's transportation system recovers from the pandemic. The Honourable Omar Alghabra, Minister of Transport. After a challenging 2 years, we all want the Canadian economy, including the tourism sector, to rebound and grow. We in government have been listening to the concerns of tourism businesses across the country. We are confident that, thanks to all that Canadians have done to protect one another, we can now take the next step forward and remove testing requirements for fully vaccinated travelers entering Canada. The economy, workers and tourism business owners will benefit from this next step in opening Canada up once again to the world. The Honourable Randy Boissonnault, Minister of Tourism and Associate Minister of Finance. The health and safety of Canadians is our government's top priority. As the pandemic situation changes domestically and abroad, so does our response. I especially want to thank Canada Border Services Agency employees for their tireless work over the past 2 years. We will always take action to secure our border and protect our communities, because that's what Canadians expect. The Honourable Marco E. L. Mendicino, Minister of Public Safety. Quick facts. Canadians can continue do their part to reduce the spread of COVID-19 by getting vaccinated and boosted, using masks where appropriate, self-isolating if they have symptoms and self-testing if they can. Travelers should check if they are eligible to enter Canada and meet all entry requirements before heading to the border. In addition, some provinces and territories may have their own entry restrictions in place. Check and follow both the federal and any provincial or territorial restrictions and requirements before traveling to Canada. All travelers entering Canada, including returning residents, continue to be required to input their mandatory information in ArriveCAN within 72 hours before their arrival in Canada. Unless otherwise exempt, all travelers eligible to enter Canada who do not qualify as fully vaccinated will continue to be tested with COVID-19 molecular tests on arrival and on day 8, while they quarantine for 14 days. Travelers may experience delays at ports of entry due to the public health measures. Travelers should have their ArriveCAN receipt ready to present to the Border Services Officer. Before heading to the land border, travelers should check Canada Border Service Agency's website for estimated border wait times at select land ports of entry.
Thank you for listening to our news update. There's more on youtube.com/travel news group, or you can read us, of course, in going to our news portal at eTurboNews.com or travelnews.online.